Caitlin Clark is just different from everyone else.
Caitlin Clark walking back into Carver Hawkeye.
Caitlin Clark opening up the game, pull-up three, bang, to the logo three to close the third quarter, walking off to a standing ovation.
It was an unbelievable game to watch on television.
It's crazy how one player can implement a change so massive, and that is Caitlin Clark.
The basketball world just stopped and stared because Caitlin Clark didn't just play today. She destroyed the Brazil national team right here in Iowa.
Whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
After months away from the court, Caitlin came back with fire in her eyes and magic in her hands.
She was finally back on the basketball court against the Brazilian national team.
From deep logo threes that sent the crowd into a frenzy to no-look passes that left defenders frozen.
Look at this.
This was a statement. Caitlin Clark is not just back. She's at her absolute prime.
The Indiana Fever are where they are because of Caitlin Clark. The WNBA is where it is because of Caitlin Clark. The Iowa situation is what it is because of Caitlin Clark.
Every dribble, every shot, every assist screamed one thing. The queen of the court has returned.
Caitlin Clark play. And then we got one of the highlights of her career, really. We know she broke the record at Iowa. And then I'm going to pull up from all the way here. The ball's way in the air and it goes down.
And trust me, what happened in this game is something every basketball fan needs to see. If you are a Caitlin Clark fan and want to support her, type 100% in the comments. 7 months. For most athletes, that's enough time to lose rhythm, lose sharpness, and maybe even lose confidence. But not Caitlin Clark. When she finally laced up her sneakers and stepped back onto the court, not just any court, but right here in Iowa where her legend was born, it was like witnessing a spark reignite into a full-blown wildfire.
In Iowa City at the Carver Hawkeye Arena, the Fever and Brazil.
The anticipation inside the arena was almost unbearable. Fans had been waiting for this moment.
This is the cue more than 2 hours before the game. Not even, if not, probably 4 figures amount of people are waiting outside already 2 hours before for everything to open up.
Counting the days since they last saw their hero dominate the hardwood. The crowd wasn't just big, it was thunderous.
The whole crowd was all standing up together, clapping. You could see the 22 logo imprinted on the floor. Caitlin.
Entire families packed the stands. Young girls wearing Clark jerseys, clutched handmade signs.
And Lexi Hall rocked up wearing a Caitlin Clark Iowa jersey. These players are very much out there to celebrate Caitlin Clark.
And longtime Iowa supporters sat on the edge of their seats as if history was about to be made all over again. You could feel the hum of energy in every corner of the gym. It wasn't just a preseason exhibition. It felt like the start of something massive. And then Caitlin checked in. The second her sneakers touched the court, the entire arena rose to its feet. It wasn't a polite cheer. It was a deafening roar. Phones went up like a sea of stars, capturing the moment they'd been waiting for. Every set of eyes locked onto her. Even the Brazil players couldn't help but glance over.
Brazil. Look at this. Belong. My goodness.
There's something about her presence, that intangible magnetism that draws attention the way few athletes ever can. And it didn't take long for her to remind the world why she's in a league of her own. The very first time Caitlin touched the ball, you could feel a collective intake of breath from the crowd.
So this is what an actual crowd looks like. Chloe Peterson put this up. That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up in Caitlin Clark's college arena. Absolutely full capacity, folks. Full capacity on this thing.
Every dribble was sharp. Every pivot looked crisp. There was no rust, no hesitation, just pure, calculated movement. Then the shot clock began winding down. Most players would panic, scramble for a bailout pass, or force up a wild shot. Not Caitlin. With the confidence of a seasoned superstar and the instincts of a natural-born scorer, she casually stepped back. Far beyond the three-point line, so deep it was almost laughable.
I didn't plan to shoot that logo three. I know coming into the game, everybody wanted me to shoot one from there. But Steph was like, was supposed to come out at the end of the third, so she's like, give a foul, give a foul, give a foul. And then it was 30 seconds on the clock, which like between 30 to 33, that's like your 2-for-1 range where you have to get one up. So I saw 30 as we're inbounding the ball, which probably is inbounding the ball at 30, probably a little low. But I was like, why not?
And launched the ball from the logo, not near it.
The ball movement was great to see. Who didn't want to see that the ball snapping around and the unselfish play? I think it bodes very, very well for the ceiling of this team.
From way behind it. Swish. The net barely moved as the ball dropped clean through. For a split second, there was silence. The type of stunned silence where everyone in the building had the same thought. Did she really just do that? And then the explosion came. Fans erupted out of their seats. The bench went wild, and the Brazil players stood frozen, jaws slightly dropped. It was more than just 3 points. It was a declaration. It was Caitlin Clark telling the world, not only am I back, I'm at a whole new level.
She broke her own damn record, hitting 36-foot-long three-pointers. She looked it sensational. This team looked it great. And I'm telling you right now, they just put the entire WNBA on notice.
The beauty of that shot wasn't just its distance. It was the ease with which she took it. No extra steps, no unnecessary hesitation. Just a quick, clean motion, like she had been drilling that exact shot every day in practice for years. And the truth is, she probably has. This wasn't luck. This was the result of months of preparation, training, and sharpening her craft while the rest of the world wondered how she'd adjust to the next phase of her career. But that shot was just the beginning.
Caitlin pretty much controlled this game. As far as Brazil, no one really stood out.
As the first quarter unfolded, Caitlin didn't just settle into the game, she commanded it. Her body language oozed confidence. She called plays, directed her teammates, and moved around the court with the swagger of someone who knows exactly how dangerous she is. And what made it even more special? She was doing all of this right here in Iowa, in front of the same fans who had supported her since day one. The same court where she built her reputation as a generational talent had now become the stage for her grand return. And it felt poetic. This wasn't a warm-up game. This was Caitlin Clark's reintroduction party, and she made sure everyone in the building and everyone watching at home got the message loud and clear. The Queen is back, and she's just getting started. While most of the headlines will focus on Caitlin Clark's deep threes,
she put on a show. The deep logo three that further than the logo, really, that no one else is doing. The delicious dimes whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
And trust me, there were plenty. What truly separated her performance against Brazil was her complete command of every facet of the game. This wasn't just a scorer showing off her range. This was a masterclass in how one player can orchestrate an entire team.
The team looked it great. Caitlin Clark looked like she's ready to go.
Like a symphony conductor. Caitlin didn't just play her position. She owned every inch of the court, turning herself into the epicenter of every offensive and defensive sequence.
When Caitlin Clark arrives, she's going to be responsible for moving the ball more. She's going to be responsible for setting picks, dropping the ball off, making decisions. It's not just going to be dumping the ball down and you make a decision and we'll live with whatever you do. So,
and it all started with her playmaking, the part of her game that often gets overshadowed by her jaw-dropping scoring, but is equally lethal. From the very first possession after her logo three, Caitlin slipped effortlessly into the role of floor general. She scanned the court with the precision of a chess grandmaster, anticipating the movements of both her teammates and the Brazilian defense several steps ahead. When Brazil tried to trap her near half court, clearly hoping to force turnovers or disrupt the flow, she didn't flinch. With a quick crossover and a sharp behind-the-back dribble, she broke the double team and carved through the lane like a hot knife through butter.
You can see when Caitlin Clark is walking in because there are about 17 extra cameras there following her.
And here's where her brilliance really shined. Instead of forcing a contested layup over taller defenders, she whipped a one-handed, no-look bounce pass between two defenders that landed perfectly in stride for her cutting teammate. Layup. 2 points. Just like that. But that was only the beginning of her passing clinic. Throughout the game, Caitlin delivered dime after dime, each one more creative and audacious than the last. On one possession, after faking out her defender with a jab step and driving baseline, she wrapped the ball behind her back midair to a wide-open teammate in the corner for a smooth three.
Honestly, I was really excited to just get out there and play, and especially getting to do it for the first time this season in front of these fans was really cool for myself. And just seeing the amount of people and young girls and young boys that stand there and scream for me to sign their stuff, I don't take that for granted. That's so cool. I would be lying to you if I thought that was just normal and everybody gets to do that. They don't. So I'm glad I can be a role model for them, and they have a great impact on me too.
Moments later in transition, she threaded a full court bullet pass, the type of pass that would make NFL quarterbacks jealous, hitting her teammate perfectly in stride for an easy fast break layup. These weren't just flashy highlights. They were high IQ, high-impact plays that broke Brazil's defense apart at its seams. Every time they tried to close in on her, she punished them with surgical precision. And her teammates? They knew to stay ready. Because when Caitlin Clark is on the court, the ball can find you at any moment in ways you least expect.
I'm just very, very thankful to be able to come back to a place that continues to support me and see old friends that are having a great time getting to watch me do my thing, that don't play basketball anymore, that are just my friends, and spending time with them, even though it was just dinner last night. It's just fun to come back here and kind of feel like you're in college again in a way, but also it was a little weird going in the locker room. But I don't know, something about this gym just makes me play well, and these shoes, I don't know. So there's something about it, but I just a lot of gratitude and just thankful I can share it with my family too. A lot of them were here, my grandparents were here, and they don't get to come to many either. And these are the moments that you never take for granted, and you kind of just want to stay in for forever. So
what made all of this even more impressive was how seamlessly she balanced scoring with facilitating. Most players, even at the elite level, tend to lean heavily into one or the other. They're either the scorer or the passer. Caitlin? She switched hats in the blink of an eye. After a few dazzling assists, when Brazil sagged off her to clog the lanes and cut off passing angles, she calmly stepped back and drained a deep jumper in their face. The defense was left in a constant state of confusion, never knowing whether to collapse on her or chase her off the perimeter. And that confusion, Caitlin exploited it over and over again with her signature composure. Defensively, she was no slouch either. On one key possession, as Brazil's point guard tried to initiate a pick and roll, Caitlin anticipated the play before it even unfolded. She jumped the passing lane, poked the ball loose, and took off in transition. But instead of sprinting blindly to the rim, she slowed, surveyed her options mid-stride, and lofted a perfectly timed alley-oop pass to her teammate trailing the break. Crowd erupts again, and with every play like that, it became more and more clear. This wasn't just about Caitlin scoring points. It was about her elevating everyone around her.
Just seeing the amount of people and young girls and young boys that stand there and scream for me to sign their stuff, I don't take that for granted. That's so cool. I would be lying to you if I thought that was just normal and everybody gets to do that. They don't. So I'm glad I can be a role model for them, and they have a great impact on me too.
And turning what should have been a competitive game into a lopsided showcase of teamwork led by her singular vision. And let's not forget her leadership. Even between plays, Caitlin was coaching on the floor, pointing, clapping, directing teammates into position, and hyping them up after every bucket. The communication was constant and sharp, and the trust her teammates showed in her was obvious. Whenever they caught her eye, they knew. Get ready because something special is about to happen. By halftime, the stat sheet told only part of the story. Multiple assists, double figures in points, and several key defensive stops. But what numbers can't capture is the way she controlled the game's tempo, the way she dictated every single possession, and the way she made Brazil, a solid, respectable team, look like they were playing catch-up to a force of nature. Watching Caitlin Clark in this zone wasn't just watching an athlete at work. It was like watching a conductor orchestrate a flawless performance with her teammates as instruments, Brazil as the stunned audience, and the Iowa Arena as her grand concert hall.
Caitlin Clark opening up the game, pull-up three, bang, to the logo three to close the third quarter, walking off to a standing ovation. Caitlin Clark pulling up from 36 feet out. From start to finish, there was never a doubt in our mind. There was never a time where we even thought to ourselves, is this game going to be close? Indiana comes out, 8-0 run. Close out the first quarter, close out the second quarter, close out the third quarter, sit our starters in the fourth quarter, and by the time it's all said and done.
As the game progressed and Caitlin Clark's dominance became undeniable, something much bigger than just a box score or highlight reel began to unfold. This wasn't just an exhibition of shooting, passing, or athleticism. This was the culmination of years of doubt, criticism, and relentless work. Caitlin wasn't just putting Brazil away on the scoreboard. She was sending a loud, resounding message to every critic, skeptic, and opponent who had ever questioned whether she could elevate her game beyond flashy scoring. On this night, she proved that she is no longer just a sharpshooter. She is a complete leader, capable of carrying a team on her shoulders and dictating every aspect of a high-stakes international matchup.
Caitlin Clark play. And then we got one of the highlights of her career, really. We know she broke the record at Iowa. And then I'm going to pull up from all the way here. The ball's way in the air, and it goes down.
Over the past few years, even as Caitlin racked up jaw-dropping stats and accolades, there was a persistent narrative hovering around her game. Could she handle the physicality of international play? Could she command respect as a leader and playmaker, not just as a scorer? Could she adapt her game when defenses keyed in on her, denying her easy looks from deep? Against Brazil, Caitlin didn't just answer those questions. She crushed them under her sneakers. One of the clearest signs of her evolution into a leader was how she handled adversity in real time. Early in the third quarter, Brazil adjusted their game plan and threw a highly physical full-court press at Caitlin, designed specifically to wear her down and force turnovers.
There's Caitlin again, signing autographs.
This is Caitlin Clark doing what Caitlin Clark does, signing autographs.
Lesser players might have cracked under the constant body checks, traps, and double teams. But Caitlin, she relished it. With a calm that only comes from hours of preparation and sheer competitive fire, she called for the ball, took the pressure head on, and navigated through it with surgical patience. At one point, after being bumped and hounded for nearly 10 straight seconds, she broke through with a crossover and drew a foul. Instead of barking at the refs or showing frustration, she simply smiled, nodded, and walked to the free throw line, sinking both shots effortlessly. Her body language alone told you everything you needed to know. Caitlin Clark is battle-tested now. She's faced every defense, every game plan, and every level of physicality imaginable. And not only has she survived, but she's adapted and thrived. That's what leaders do.
New additions, great former additions. The ball was moving, the passes were popping. What is possible for this group this year?
Yeah, a championship. That's our goal. And I think working every single day. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and we got a new team, so it's going to take some time to put it all together.
Even more impressive was how she lifted her teammates when they faced pressure. There was a sequence midway through the second half where Iowa's offense stalled. Brazil had chipped away at the lead slightly, and the crowd grew tense. Caitlin gathered her teammates at half court during a stoppage, clapped her hands forcefully, and looked each of them in the eye. You could practically read her lips. "We're fine. Stick to it. Trust it." Moments later, she orchestrated back-to-back scoring possessions, first hitting a mid-range jumper off a screen and then dishing a laser assist to the wing for a corner three. The energy flipped instantly. That's the kind of leadership that transcends stats. the ability to control momentum with just words and confidence. And then there was her defense, an area where doubters used to whisper that Caitlin might struggle at the elite level.
Caitlin Clark breaking the record at $440 per average ticket to get into this game. That record was rebroken and increased to $670 per ticket. Couldn't help myself. Haters, read it and weep.
Not anymore. Against Brazil, she wasn't just a neutral defender, she was a disruptor. She rotated crisply, hedged on screens, and fought over picks with intensity. On multiple possessions, she forced Brazil's guards into bad shots late in the shot clock, simply through smart positioning and relentless hustle. In one particularly telling play, as Brazil attempted a last-ditch drive into the lane, Caitlin slid over from the weak side and took a charge. The crowd exploded, and as she got up, she let out a roar of pure fire, chest-bumping her teammate. It wasn't just her offense making statements. Her defense was now speaking just as loudly. But perhaps the biggest evidence of her growth came in how she closed the game. With Iowa sitting on a comfortable lead, many stars might have coasted or stat-padded. Not Caitlin. She slowed the tempo, orchestrated deliberate sets, made smart passes, and chewed up clock. She valued possession over personal glory, making sure Brazil never had even a glimmer of hope for a comeback. That's championship-level poise. That's what separates great players from legends. By the time the final buzzer, what we witnessed today wasn't just another game, it was a statement. Caitlin Clark didn't just dominate Brazil.
This is just a really high quality team, I think, and I look forward to seeing the rest, as it looks like they just scored their 100th point of the game against Brazil. I do not believe the Chicago Sky did as well against Brazil as Indiana is right now.
She etched her name even deeper into the history books with a performance that showcased every layer of her greatness. From her deadly three-pointers to her pinpoint assists, from her unshakable leadership to her gritty defense, Caitlin made it crystal clear that she's not just a star, she's a once-in-a-generation force who has reached the absolute peak of her powers. We're no longer talking about potential or promise. We're watching the finished product of years of hard work, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of excellence. And it is spectacular. Her journey hasn't been easy. She's battled criticism, faced unfair treatment on the court, and carried the weight of expectations from fans and analysts alike. But instead of folding under that pressure, she has risen higher, evolved faster, and now stands as the undisputed leader, not just for Iowa, but for women's basketball as a whole.
It was an unbelievable game to watch on television. It looked great. The crowd was into it. It was fired up. Social media was fired up during the game.
When history looks back at this era, performances like this one against Brazil will be remembered as defining moments. Proof that Caitlin Clark was never just hype, never just highlights. She is substance, she is strategy, she is skill, and most importantly, she is unstoppable. So if you're a true Caitlin Clark fan, if you believe in her talent, her leadership, in her mission to change the game forever, this is your moment to stand with her. Show your support loud and clear. Type 100% in the comments and let the world know you're riding with Caitlin as she continues to break barriers, silence doubters, and inspire the next generation of athletes. Because one thing is certain, Caitlin Clark is not done yet. She's just getting started, and we are all witnesses to her prime.